How's it going? Let's get this link posted. There we go. CT in Discord. Hey, what's going on, Dyer? Holding your breath in the trades. Dude, I know sometimes it's hard. Like I almost walk away. I don't walk away, but like sometimes when the kids are, I'm like, can I leave Amazon contracts? Like, can I take my hand off the trigger for a second in my Amazon puts while I look at my kids to make sure that they're not like doing something that's going to, get them hurt? That's scary. Like if y'all want to see, I have a new setup for recording, and I didn't record today because, well, really annoying. But like I record through my GPU, and there was something wrong with it. It needed an update, and it was just crazy, and I couldn't record, which was really annoying. I had my best day of the year so far. It's not saying too much. I mean, it's pretty early, but still, I was very proud of the day, and happy with the way I traded. And I want to talk about that some. I want to talk about my kind of how I get going in the morning. Excuse me, what I do, some of the things, my mindset going into the day, every single day, and how I handle, and this might be a bigger topic for a later time, but how I handle some distractions. Because like I was just kind of joking and watching, CT say something. It's I've got the kids that are playing behind me when I'm trading, screaming and hollering, and y'all hear that kind of stuff sometimes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about distraction. Hopefully, this will not be. We'll just see. We'll see where it goes. So, your usual disclaimer: I'm Gator, and I'm here to entertain. Nothing I say. I'm not giving you investment advice, stock choices, anything like that. You risk whatever you would like with, and do whatever you would like with the information I give you. So, with that, let's get started, guys. I need to write out an intro thing that I say. I need to, have it prepped. What up, Bandit? I think I'm going to go back, guys, to start. I did a few videos at first, the first 30 minutes of my day. I think I'm going to start posting the first 30 minutes of my day again with a talk through of it, just every day, or whenever I get the time to do it on the dailies. Yeah, I do need a spiel. I don't have one. I'm not a pro. Not a pro. Not a pro until I get a spiel that I can do. When I start, it's like I got the video and some of the other stuff, but I haven't taken the time to write something down yet. So that's next on the list, I think. But I think I'm going to start doing first 30 minutes, so I always have something to go back and talk over and stuff, and that'll be something I post whether I trade a lot or not. Oh, you want to see the power of trend lines, guys? Look at the power of trend lines. Like once we broke this one, and then it came back to support, this was my short in the day. I'll move me out of the way here. So this was my trigger for the first short, because in Tesla, it was because it hit that trend line. So it like was opened at a trend line. It broke below. It broke day lows. It also coincided with day lows. But when it came back up and right here hit VWAP, this was my short. And I played that. I probably had 2 trades in this. I probably held it here and I sold. It popped up. I bought back again on the way down on that same candle, and then held for some of this run. Somewhere in here I sold, and then I scalped 1 or 2 of these. I think I called this level, let's see, that we needed to wait. I even think yeah, look at that. That trend line that hit, I remember talking about that, and zooming out when I posted a picture. Dude, guru skills gone. I'm not a, oh man, me being a guru. I should change the name instead of Gator Trader to Scammy Guru. Like how funny would that be to be Scammy Guru instead of, anything else? So it just lets people know up front what they're getting. And call me Sally. I'm going to come back to your question really quick. Oh, that's Geronimo's nickname. I just heard him saying it today. Okay, yeah, he can be Scammy Guru. So, um, I took that move and made some there. I was noticing, so Tesla was hard today for one reason, in my opinion, or one main reason. The main reason Tesla was hard was, one, it was super expensive. The prices were very, they moved weird. And yes, they moved, but it wasn't moving how we normally watch Tesla move. When it was dropping, you could definitely make money in it, but like when you were losing by like $1. And when you were winning by like 20 or 30 cents. And that happened to me once or twice. I'm like, they're not bad fills, but the price action's weird. The options are moving. I'm like, I'm going to have a hard time scalping this. And that's what I was thinking to myself. I'm like, this is just hard. And I might have scalped it once or twice and sold and then got back in and tried. I'm like, man, I can't really do, like I can do the one and done kind of short thing, but the way it's working, it's just not really triggering enough. And I'm not, like, I don't really like how it's feeling to me. And I really hate that I couldn't record this morning. I'm sorry. Like, I would have loved to record the trade so I could kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. I really hate it. I've tested it and I've got it recording now for tomorrow. I need to start testing my equipment before I start. But some of you know what I'm talking about because you're in there and other people were saying it. So it just wasn't feeling easy. So what I did was, and this is not something I recommend if you're struggling. This is not something I necessarily recommend because it can go against you, and Tesla can whip against you. And so I did not size up into this move. So instead, like if I was scalping and I'm catching a point, 2 points on little scalps really quick, I generally speaking lean in a little bit with my size. I did not do that because I realized I'm going to have to hold a little bit because I think the market is just going to dump. And I mean, if you look at the triple Qs at this exact same time, you can kind of see that they were fairly weak too. They were kind of popping up and going down, but Tesla was weaker than the Qs. So Tesla was just going down. I was like, well, I'm just going to trust this move. So I bought 10 contracts after it broke this trend line, which I have drawn. So once it came back up and it coincided with VWAP and this trend line and it broke down, I just decided to hold and then sell out. And then it popped back up and it started going down. I just bought another 10 contracts and I just held those and caught some of this move and then scalped some here and then scalped some here, lost a little here. 10 o'clock got chopped up. So I did CT's thing. And I don't know that I want to go over numbers. I don't mind doing it. But I lost about 20% of my day in here. And then I waited and I traded Amazon. So I didn't trade Tesla anymore because Tesla hit that algo line. Like I tried a few. I wasn't trying for long moves in here. I was just trying for little scalps and none of them really set up. So I couldn't scalp because of the same reason I couldn't scalp up here. Like it just wasn't working. I was trying to buy, I was trying to sell. It wasn't flushing. It held this trend line. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I bet it goes back up and then eventually it'll come back down. It did. I don't think I traded any of this. It tested the trend line again and it popped, and then we know that it rallied all day. So there were definitely some trades there. I came over to trade Amazon. I don't think I have a trend line drawn on Amazon, but I traded Amazon in this hour here during this break down. The reason I did this was it broke day lows. So it hadn't broke day lows all day. Tesla had gone down, so I was watching. Amazon was relatively strong compared to the market. It was holding up pretty well. Once it broke day lows right here, I started playing it short. Every time it bounced up and hit the 8, which coincided generally with some type of stochastic setup, I took it short and I held. I actually kind of played this the same way I played Tesla. I held it for a little bit and I would catch about 5 points or so per 3 to 5 contracts. It would pop back up. I'd do the same thing and I just caught some of these down moves and then I got off here. I didn't play the up move and I left until like 15 minutes before the close. So that was my day. Pretty much just played these two names. it was pretty solid. Not too much to complain about. All things considered, it was a great day. I'm really happy with the day. It was important for me, sorry, let me move this back, to identify early the way it was trading. And because I did that, holding it, I'm not saying I don't believe it's luck. I don't believe in luck, so I don't think I got lucky. But I just chose to play it that way. And sometimes I think that's smarter than scalping if you can't scalp and you're not winning, but it seems super, super, super weak. It's a lot easier to just, well, I'm going to size down to something that's comfortable. I'm going to get a good entry on the next pop or the next time it goes up a little bit, and it's going to drop, and I'm going to hold it. And it might jump around, and I might be flat. But if losing there is not going to make you toxic, remember, not going to make you toxic. Like, I could have lost on those contracts. I'm like, oh, well, it didn't work. I wouldn't have let it go 2 points against me or a point against me unless it just, like, whipped in that direction. But I wasn't going to hold a loser. But I was like, hey, I'm just going to let it go a little bit. And I took that risk, and it paid off today. There are days when that does not pay off. So it did for me today. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. CT said in Discord beforehand that he felt like it was just going to pop up at any point, and it could. And I think part of that might have been to do with the queues and how the queues were acting and some other things. And it did kind of feel that way, and it felt like it was just going to rip in your face. It never did. But the fact that he listened to himself and what he thought is going to keep him safe on other days. And the fact that he didn't just FOMO and trade it 50 times or just buy massive size and hold, like, yeah, that might have worked. But listening to yourself and how you feel about a trade, whether you're right or wrong, doesn't really matter. The fact that you listen to yourself is what matters. And when you realize something and you're seeing something, whether or not your feelings are right or wrong, go with what you think and what you feel, because that's more important. Because even if you're wrong, you're not going to be mad. Hey, I felt this and it just didn't set up the way I liked it. I didn't feel comfortable. Usually you start losing when you don't feel comfortable with what you're doing and you're like emotionally forcing things, and that allows you to kind of be a lot more toxic in your trading, or allows you to tilt toxic when it doesn't work because you're kind of defensive. You're too, not defensive, but you're too, like, you're forcing yourself out of your, I'd say, comfort zone when you don't need to. Instead, just trade what you're comfortable with and trade how you're comfortable. And then whether or not you caught the whole move today, there'll be other times when you can catch moves and make moves. You don't have to catch every move to be a successful trader. Let me look at something. What did I do there? I destroyed a trend line. I don't even know which one. One of my ascending ones. Oh, well. Oh, it was probably this one. Delete that one. Obviously, it wasn't important. Let me answer a question in Discord really quick, and then I will look at the YouTube one, because there's one in Discord first. It seems with the aggressive style, some of the Mark Melnick rules are either not being used or have less of a priority, such as being above the first 1 or 2 minute high long, opposite for short, or not to have a moving average. Yep. So, and Call Me Sally's questions. So, the C strategy, so for, and Call Me Sally in Discord is asking this question. It's basically, so we have rules for our trades. I break those rules sometimes and make money. He's asking, well, when do you decide to break rules? Is there, like, I guess you're asking if there is there a rule that allows you to make rule, that allows you to break the rules? Is there something you see? And here's how I look at it. You remember Pirates of the Caribbean when they're like parlay, and they're like, that's the that's the loser, and it's like, it's more like a guideline. I remember that. Well, it's more like a guideline anyway from the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I may be misquoting it. And when we say bending, so the C strategy rules are guidelines to help you take the most effective, the more higher percentage win, the all of those things, like the highest percentage win, the safest, the least toxic, the not jumping into everything and losing your money because you're trying every 1 minute breakout, every 5 minute breakout, all of this. The C strategies are your base. If you're in here and if you're watching there, you're like, hey, this is my guidelines for my trades. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm watching, and these are the strategies I'm trading. But if something's working or something's doing something different, you bend and adapt those rules or guidelines to what's working in the market. And when we say we're bending, we're actually going outside of the rules to take a trade. We're saying this is a lower conviction trade. This might not be the best, like, mentally, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a little tired. Like toxic free, like if I lose, like this gets a little bit more dangerous. The C strategies are the most safe, kind of base level that you can put on your trades. And then you start adding things to them and you can start bending into moves when they're happening. Like some of these 1 minute breakdowns in Tesla, you could have made money on them, but they weren't one and dones. But if you waited for a one and done, you didn't have a one and done, like, let's see. Okay, we're below the first 2 minute low here. Okay, so we come up and hit VWAP, so your next 1 minute breakdown's here. Well, to be honest, if you just played this 1 minute breakdown, you may or may not have made money because of how choppy it was. My guess is I actually lost on this trade, and that's why I held longer. You come back on this trade, and this is not a strategy unless you held. So this candle, this candle, this candle, this candle, 862. Not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. You could say these are one and dones when you get like here. This is a one and done because you have the increasing volume. That's like a lot more than the other ones. So you don't have any actual C strategy set up. So what I'm doing is saying, well, I don't have to play the C strategies if I know how to make money in a name. I just play how I make money. And I just take things like this isn't a real one and done, but I'm going to take it as a one and done. And we use the terminology to understand or to let people know you're buying the next 1 minute trade. The first Mark 1, here's the first Know Your Limit 8 Mark 1 that takes place this day. So you miss all of this, which is fine because remember, the C strategies are to help you become consistent and profitable, not help you make $1 million. And then as you get confident, you play names more aggressively. You enter them at different points. It didn't perfectly hit the 21 here, but I would have bought it anyway as soon as it started ticking down off the 21. As a matter of fact, I did. So, and that's not a C strategy. That's like I'm boofing it, as we used to call it. I'm front running it at an extreme level because it started ticking off of near a moving average, and I shorted it there. Here's your first 1 minute, so that worked. So you sell this one if you're only playing the C strategy, and then you're out. If you tried to hold this one longer, this candle jumped around some, so who knows what happens to you. You probably get shaken out depending on when you buy. But, if you buy here, you probably make a little bit, and then you don't have another strategy at all because there's no volume reset. Oh, wait, here's your next strategy because it actually hit the 21 this time. Here's your 1 minute breakdown. You probably make a little bit there, and there's no other strategy. So if you were playing C strategies, you would only have played this maybe 2 to 3 times. Well, there's a lot more money to be made there than just what you would make on the C strategies. So what I'm looking for and what I do is the more you watch a name, you find out how it trades, how you can make money in it, how you can adapt, how you can sometimes play more aggressive. Like today, Tesla was just tanking. I'm like, well, I'm going to be a part of this. Now, I didn't have to be a part of it. I wouldn't mind if I missed it, but I'm not waiting for the next C strategy until I lose in a trade. So like if I was to start losing, and let's say that this chop happened in here, then I wait for a C strategy. So I go back to the C strategies when I'm looking for a win, an entrance, like something that's a high conviction trade, like all of this. If that was happening up here, I would have left it alone because there's nothing there. So hopefully that answers your question. And then like as you see trends forming and how Tesla plays, you're like, okay, I'm going to, next time I see this happening, I've seen this movie before, I know what's going to happen. This is like parlay. This is just the guidelines. But if I get a good C strategy and there's elevated selling pressure and Gator and CT and everywhere else are in this, I'm going to play it a little bit more aggressively. If I get a pop like here, you know, oh, it's not technically lower. It's like it pops up, it starts going down, like the video I posted on how I play Tesla. I'm going to buy it. So you start adapting what you do to how the names play. And that's kind of what I do. So a really good question, and I really appreciate the question because a lot of people want to follow the rules perfectly, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I actually think that's the safest, most least toxic way to trade, unless missing this move bothers you. If you came here and you were like, no, I caught this one, and then I waited, and I caught this one, and then I caught this one, I was done because there was no more C strategies, and you're happy with that, then by all means don't change and don't play too aggressively. Don't chase the more moves. But if you're like, I want to be aggressive, then you need to trade a name enough, watch the level 2, watch it, learn how it plays, learn when it's really weak and it's just tanking and there's something that's pushing it down, especially in Tesla or names like that, or Amazon when it's working. And then you kind of go outside the C strategies. But the moment you start losing, like I didn't do this, but because it hit the trend line and I called that. But in here, you could have taken a Tesla short expecting it to go back down. Like who knows what this candle looked like live. It starts popping up, you know, as soon as it doesn't go, or you take a loss here, you're like, okay, hang on, I need a C strategy. I need to wait for a C strategy because maybe this candle closed and you bought right here at the bottom of this candle, but it popped up. And you're like, oh, ooh, I didn't like that. Okay, I'm going to wait for the next C strategy. Not taking a one and done. Which actually I think that's what I did. I think I bought here at the open, took a small loss. I was like, all right, I'm waiting. And then I waited. I'm like, hey, I'm waiting for the next, I think a moving average needs to hit. I'm going to wait for a moving average hit. All right, moving average hit, moving average hit. I'm going to take the next 1 minute breakdown. It never it popped up to here. It started going down. I'm like, okay, it's near the 21. Next 1 minute breakdown is a Mark 1 and Know Your Limit 8 combined. So that's going to be my next trade. That was my next trade. So that is how I adapt the C strategies. The C strategies are the concrete foundation of my trading. They are the base of my trading, and where if I have a hard time, I'll always go back instantly to those. But when it comes to like trying to get a win, or when it comes to like playing the trend, that's bending. I'm playing the trend, I'm bending. There's not as many rules. It's just find a way to make money. And you could buy a 1 minute breakdown on every candle. You could wait for a pop and then buy it to the short side. Or you could just buy it and hold it. So, you know, I hope that kind of answers. Feel free to add. There's absolutely nothing wrong with just sticking with the C strategies, and call me Sally. And a little cash, I'll come back to yours. There's a question in YouTube. So Matt, was the 5th 1 minute bar your first trade in Tesla? Or did the Qs prevent me from shorting the 3rd 1 minute bar in Tesla? And then you meant the 6th 1 minute bar. And avoid the 4th. Let's look. So I took one Tesla trade here for a breakdown and lost. And lost $2,000 to 2 points. And I was like, oh, that's not fun. But that was fine because I kind of expected to win or lose some there. It then popped up, and the reason I didn't play through here was because of Fidelity lag. There were a lot of lag issues early in different names this morning, or different brokers. And I didn't want to get stuck in a trade when things were jacked up. And I'm pretty sure we were warning people, like, hey, there's lag, there's lag, there's lag, watch out, there's lag, this is lagging. So when there's lag, your chance of becoming toxic goes up probably 10 to 20%, like, or 200%, 2 to 500%, especially when a big moves happens. You're like, man, something's going to happen, I'm going to get in. I just got to get in, and it'll be fine. And then you lose some, and then it goes against you and you miss it. You know, my buying power wasn't resetting in Fidelity, and then it did, and it was fixed, and I was fine. But there was, you know, your chance of going toxic is exponentially increased. So if I'm getting lag, I'm getting delayed order fills, I'm getting any of that, like I go completely like cautious. So I may have actually taken this trade if I wasn't having issues with Fidelity early. And because of all those issues with the brokers, I stayed away from it, and I said I'm going to wait for the actual day low break on a normal day, if the market or if the brokers would have been fine, I would have bought this day low. Like, I probably would have tried it. And the only reason I didn't wasn't necessarily because of the Qs. Because even though the Qs were going up, and I think I mentioned this at the time, it's like the Qs are strong, Tesla's really weak, and we were all kind of talking about it. But the main reason I didn't was because of the broker, and I wanted to wait for Tesla to break day lows to kind of give me conviction. So if there was lag in the broker, it was a more high conviction trade than trying to guess, because the Qs were going higher and Tesla did break down. So it was like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get out of this trade, and I don't feel like losing 3, 4, 5 points on a trade because I can't be patient and wait for the setup to take place. So what I did was I waited for the setup to take place. I waited for it to break day lows and get below that first 2-minute low, following, and call me Sally, like the C strategies and the rules. I was like, I'm going to wait for it to get below the first 2-minute low. If Tesla's going to tank, it's going to tank. But you have to remember, it was also sitting on a trend line. So it opened up on this trend line, and then you can see it actually respected this when it popped until it broke later in the day. So, and it hit that perfectly, which also coincided with the opening day. So I don't know if it was day opening or the trend line, but either way, I wanted it to break that trend line, and I wanted it to break the first 2-minute low. And because of the lag in the broker, that's the real reason that I held off and didn't trade more aggressive. That first 2-point loss, and then the broker not really being as quick as I wanted it to. I knew it could make me toxic, and I thought there was going to be a good move today. So I just waited for that to happen. If that answers your question. If it was a normal day, I can't really tell you what I would do. I don't know. So little cash. On my longer holds, do I focus on the level 2 of the option to help prevent it from going against me too fast, or stick to the stock level 2? So both. And what I mean by that is, y'all have seen my setup. Let me just open up a random video. If you don't, I have a video showing my setup. You can literally see it. So I'll just open up any one of these. Let's see, where's the video? I don't even think I have a, let me open up one really quick. I'm just gonna do it just to show you guys my.
There.
Oh,
so I don't want to put that.
Sorry, another video. Trying to find one that's actually from last week because I didn't do it today. Let's mute this.
So now that we've gone up.
All right. Pause. Oh, this is, so give me 1 second and I will throw this up on the screen. All right, so let's see, when am I taking a trade? All right, here we go. So what you're seeing now is a clip from one of my other videos. And this is what my actual Fidelity layout looks like. So if you go back and watch that video, you can see this is the level 2 right here, and this is the options level 2. So they're not far apart in my vision. And down here I see my entry price. So if I'm holding longer, I look and like I'll glance down, and like it doesn't take but a second just to like glance down, and I can see 74.08 at the case in this trade. It's like boom, 74.08, and then you just look back up, and instantly I'm watching the level 2 because I want to see how it's moving. But I do look back and forth because it takes like what, half a second, and it's on your screen, and it's on your screen like right there in front of you. So it's just like glancing. I can just glance back and forth. So I'm not like laser focused on the level 2, like, okay, what's gonna happen, what's gonna happen. I'm kind of just like, I'm sitting back, I'm looking, I'm ready to click, I'm ready to, ready to go. I'm watching it, I'm looking at the level 2, looking at that. If I'm really close, and I don't think about either one too much, I'm kind of just watching to see that it goes down, little cash. So I'm kind of just looking at it and I'm like, here we go. Okay, the level 2 is good. So what I'll usually look at is like, I'm looking at the level 2. Okay, it dropped. And then I quickly, like, if I get like a trigger and it flushes, I look over at the option. And I'm like, and if I see that kind of explode or something, I might sell 5. And I'll see how it moves. So I'll kind of watch how the option moves. So I'll look back and forth. And you know, if the stock stays still, or it pops some and then goes down a little more and the option's kind of still gaining value or something, like I might hold the option longer. So there are a little like finesse things. What do you mean, am I not sharing Fidelity? So there are little finesse things that make me think I want to stay in it longer or not stay in it longer. It's not important. Yeah, I took it off. Like I showed you Fidelity, and then I took it off. I can put it back up if you want to see it. It was just a random video. It was just like a video just to show you my layout for the sake of this video. Just to be like, they're right there next to each other, the options and the level 2, so my eyes can just glance back and forth. And then, like, if the option's up and I'm up, let's just say 5 points in something, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty safe. That's not going to, like, drop 5 points instantly. Let's watch the level 2 and see if the level 2 is speeding up, slowing down. It's slowing down some. So it's a little bit of back and forth right away. And then once it's like good and green, it's more the level 2 to like gauge the speed of it. If it's slowing down, if it's going back, or I can even sit back like this in my chair, and then I can kind of almost see both of them without moving, and I can be more focused on the level 2, but I can still kind of see the the options level 2. So I'm not like hard focused on either one. When I was trying to get more like experience, I guess I was more focused on the level 2, but now I'm not in those situations super like honed in. Like if I trade Google, which is a good example, if I trade Google and I look at it and I get filled, I'm not jumping back and forth between the prices. Like I'm kind of just sitting there in Google and I'm looking more at the options level 2, and then I look over a little bit at the price, and they're right there next to each other, so it's not like I'm taking my eyes off of either one. But in names like Google, where it's a slow, long 3-minute candle hold off of a stochastic play, I'm watching the options more because that kind of matters more. And yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question. But just because of where they're set up, it's not something I really think about. I'd say 80 to 70 to 80% I'm focused on the actual price of the stock itself. And then the other 30% I'm looking at the options. But it's very minimal, and it's just because I'm just checking to see if they're even moving, because maybe I'm in a crappy contract and I need to get out of it, or maybe it dropped and I got no money on like an explosion down and the options didn't move, and I'm like, oh, I need to get out of this because it's going to pop against me and I'm going to lose. I could lose some money. So there are little finesse things like that I don't that cause me to check the options level too. But yeah, I think a 70-30 split, 70% focus on the stock and then 30% like glancing, like minorly moving my eyes just to make sure that I'm still going in the right direction, and just to make sure I actually bought calls instead of puts, or puts instead of calls, because I messed that up a couple of times lately. So little things like that. That is my main focus. Tesla on the daily. I hope that answers you. If it did, if you want to follow up question, and I'll talk about that some when I do hopefully a shared screen, or I do trade reviews on Wednesday or later this week. Hope to do that on Wednesday. I like doing those. I like talking through the first 30 minutes, win or lose of the day, and some other stuff. I talked about this level in Tesla today and posted a picture. This was the real kind of entry point I liked for a swing. Reason I'm not taking this swing, even though I kind of liked it. So, 1 second, and I'll answer no FOMO. Is because of everything that's going on in the market. So the reason I didn't is you have FOMC tomorrow, or FOMC. You have the Fed on Wednesday. You have Tesla earnings on Wednesday. We don't know what's going to happen there. There's all this war talk with Russia, which could happen, could not happen, with Ukraine and all this stuff. Who knows? But you have all that going on, all that affecting what happens tomorrow, what happens the rest of this week, what happens, all that. And it is my experience that when it's earnings season and when you're in the middle of earnings, you could be right, but if you're going on options, and even if Tesla, like, once earnings are done, there's no telling what those options do. Tesla could gap up, 30 points, 50 points, and the options could still not be worth more after earnings. Like, I've seen stuff like that happen. More so probably when you're near the money than with lottos. Like, if you're taking lottos and they're running up and you're doing a longer term swing, I think you might be okay. But just because of all those different things happening, it's not worth it to me right now to take it. I said, I think in Discord, probably not on a video, I can't remember. We might have talked about it on Friday's show. But here, if I was doing a trade, like if I was doing a swing trade, this was my first entry that I liked for like a 25% entry. This trend line was the one I liked for another 25%. And then the 200, I think we could get there. Now, it might be up here when we get there. Like, I don't know that it's dropping down to 800. And that would kind of be my third area for a possible entry. Don't know that it'll ever get there. I hope for the sake of the people that took it, that are taking it, that it'll run all the way up. I have no idea. I do like this line. I liked this line, and you can kind of see they worked and names bounced in between them. I generally don't use lines that didn't hold up before, so I'll keep this one on. I'll probably remove this one. It did work here and here and here, like it closed above it and below it, and I saw action there during the day, and it hit perfectly here. So there's some lines I keep and I delete the other ones because I really only care about the ones that are the most effective for me personally. So we'll see what happens in Tesla this week. I don't know, but that implied volatility crush is why I didn't take options in Tesla. It could work, it could not. Maybe I'll regret it. I'm not going to regret it. I don't care if it runs back up and I open up tomorrow and it's up here. I might regret it a little bit, just a little bit. But generally speaking, I'm not going to regret this move. I'm not taking them. We'll see what happens. I would rather get confirmation on the daily. Who knows? Maybe the Fed comes out and says that maybe they're not really going to raise rates as much and they want to be cautious because of the overall market drop. And then you could see this big move happen. That's honestly something that I'm going to be watching for and waiting for, is if they come out and say something like that, then you might get a big run back up and stuff like that in the market. And if they don't and they come out stronger, you could get some more sideways and down action. I don't know. I don't. And I don't really care to. And this kind of brings me into something I'd like to hit a little bit on and probably more in a different show, but a little bit now. And I'll answer No FOMO's question first, and then we'll jump over to how I come into each day. And No FOMO asks, being that I held longer on those trades, I only held longer on those, by the way. Like, as soon as that move was done, and I said in Discord that, like, hey, it's 0-0 now, starting my day over, this move is done, I'm now trading back to how I would be. I quit holding longer, and I just went back to trading normal. So, but the fact that I held, so it depends. Personally, I sold half the first time and held all of them the second time. When I traded Google later in the day and I did some Amazon, I was doing 4 contracts or 5 contracts, and I sold 3 and held 2. And then there were other times when I held the whole thing. And there's not really a method to the madness other than just how I feel during that trade. And, sorry for that answer, that there's not a strict reason that I do things. The trick is, for me, is that I size down from like I did 10 contracts instead of doing 30 contracts, and I let the move happen and the play happen, which might not work tomorrow, so I'm not saying I'm coming in tomorrow and doing that. And then if I got back in to do a one and done or to like scalp trade the next trade, I sized down to protect the winnings from the previous run. So it's like if I caught a 5, 6, 7 point move, I didn't come back and then size up for 30 or do something else. If I was only playing a one and done, I sized down to 5 contracts to play the next one and done, and then I waited for the next pop to allow me to then buy the 10 contracts again and short. There was one time in the day when I did take 20 contracts, and I didn't make that much on it. I made just a little bit. I think it was the Know Your Limit. Yeah, yeah, the Know Your Limit 8 and the Know Your Limit 21. I took 20 contracts on that one because it was a Know Your Limit setup. I had made a decent amount. I went out of the money, so they were cheaper. They weren't going to move as much. I wasn't going to make or lose as much. And I took 20 or 30 contracts there. And that was the only time I sized up today. And then I was back down to 10 and 5. And I lost 30 cents on one time. I did it again, and I made like $1.50 or something. It's a mix of those, no FOMO, yeah. Those are really the things that are the two big kind of indicators are like if I'm up pretty big, I feel more confident giving plays more room to work. And it's not that I don't want the money or that I can't just keep taking the scalps. It's just here's one thing that's big that it's been huge for me today, and I doubled what I made in that Tesla move off of doing this. When I was playing Amazon and it was moving with the Qs, and I had already gotten in off of a stochastic or a 1 minute or something, and then Geronimo said there's a sell set up in the Qs right here, I'm going short. For me, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not selling. Like, I was up 3 or 4 points at one point. I was like, I'm about to sell. And then as soon as I was like about to click the button, Geronimo came on the mic and was like, I'm going short in the Qs right now. I'm like, oh, well, I'm holding these contracts right now. And so something like that could happen, like if there's a sell setup, like a pivot in the Qs, or to the long or the short side, and I'm in a name that will give me conviction. If there's a big level that's breaking, or we're about to get a gap fill, or something like that's going on, I will I'll give it more room. So there are little things like that, but mostly it's conviction and P&L, and different things affect the conviction. And then P&L, if I'm down money, I am not sitting there trying to make it all back on one trade unless there's a real reason to be in that trade that has nothing to do with the fact I'm up or down money. It can't be about that. Yep. For it is, and it doesn't always work. Like, I lost sometimes today when Geronimo said that, and it is what it is, and that's kind of like, I'm gonna get off topic, and I'll probably come back to in a different show, or maybe I'll be able to take it back to the direction I was going. But it's okay to be wrong. And the trick to doing this, and the trick to strategies and confidence and stuff, is like you just do them so much that you kind of get the feel and you kind of just trust them. So it's like if I'm already in a position and I'm already green on it, and everybody else is coming in and they're saying, hey, I'm going short here. There's a short trigger here. Short trigger just sold. My next target is a point lower. Like, and I'm already up. I might sell half and then hold the rest for that down move or something like that. So, like Geronimo, other people, like I lost some today when people say stuff and call stuff out because I give it a try. And it's okay. And you just know that you're going to lose. If you're going to play something, like if I'm playing him calling levels, or I'm playing like I don't know, something CT is playing or Booth saying something. Like generally for me, I might not be doing them all with the same size, but if I'm playing something and I trust something, I'm playing it a lot and I'm playing it often. So I'm not catching like the one time like, oh, Kelly just said, like we could use Kelly for example. Kelly just said he's doing this. Okay, I'm going to try it this time. And then I try it and then it doesn't work. And then 9 other times he tries it that day. I try it 2 times next time and it doesn't work the way I try it. Like if I'm doing a strategy or following somebody or taking like call outs that people are doing to find an entry for myself, I find a way to play it that I could play it all the time. Like for instance, if Kelly's long something, Kelly, often what I do is that gives me an idea for playing 1-minute breakouts in that direction, or a 2-minute, the next 2-minute breakout in that direction, because he's pretty good at calling direction, and it's not all the time. Like he lost several times a day, and I hear people losing, and I've lost on his stuff. But usually when he picks something and picks a direction, I'm like, huh, okay, I'm gonna watch this in this direction. And I don't always take it, and I don't always trade it. But if I find a setup within what he's saying that I like, I do it. Same thing for what Geronimo says. If he's saying something, I'm already doing it. I'm already trading something in there, and then he's coming on and saying, hey, I like this short. I'm not taking it off of him alone. And I'm not taking it when he says it. I'm playing it within my strategy and within the way I play it. And then I take that and I'm like, okay, I'm now, adding on that confidence to hold this trade longer. And if it would be toxic for you to lose, I would sell half for myself and then I would, hold the rest if I wanted to. And if you don't, you just take the money. But there's been plenty of times when he said that or other people have said that and I've lost, and it's just, part of the game. It's like I do it so many times. Like I lose and win so many times when different people say stuff. Like it's indifferent. Like I don't even remember the losses, to be honest with you. Like when someone, if he does a news flow call and I take it and I lose, like I almost don't remember it later. Like it's just not a big deal for me to lose. Because of the amount that I'm trading, not because of your total account value or anything else like that, but just because of like my style of just trying a lot of things, of doing stuff, of like active trading. It's like losing is part of trading, and losing is just part of it, and I accept that when I'm trading with other people. Like if CT is calling something out, I know he's going to call stuff out that loses, and if later, CT. I'll catch you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Tell the wife we said hey. And if you're doing that, or you're somebody that calls stuff out, you have to realize that you're going to be wrong, and that people are going to lose money on your call outs and on your setups. So it's a weird place to be in. Weird place for me. What's up, JR? How's it going, man? Welcome to the live. Dude, we were just talking about you. You made me, like, I use your confidence, like, when I'm trading Amazon and you're saying that you're shorting the Qs. Cheers. Got some, electrolytes. When I'm playing Amazon, and let's see, I'm going to go to a location. Let's see. I have to compare it with the Qs. Let's see if my 4 chart set up with stochastics. All right, so we're just going to take a couple of random times, and I'm going to make up a story. Yeah, we do. So let's say here's a stochastic setup. I see someone asking about it. So I didn't record today in case you missed earlier. I do have some that I've been saving, and I'm going to put some videos together and review them. And I will do some more stochastic trade reviews because I think those are the easiest way to make money if you're looking for an entry. So I do have some stuff. So let's say I'm looking at Amazon here for whatever reason. Okay, so it hit the 200, it bounced, it came back down and hit the 21. So I'm looking for a long. This is a perfect stochastic setup in Amazon. Why? Because it hit the 200, it bounced, it goes up, it hits the 21 again, it bounces, it goes down, hits the 21 again. But unlike here, when the stochastic was in the middle, here the stochastic's all the way down at that below the 20%. If I go to the 2-minute chart here, let's see where the 2-minute chart was at. So I'm going to show you what I look for. Oh, what time was that? 309. No, was that high or low? That's a 5-minute chart, sorry. Don't care about the 5-minute chart. So it was lower. It wasn't perfectly low. But you do have a green takes red there. So there you go. So you have a green takes red. 1-minute chart's the main one for me. So if I'm playing this, it hit the 21. I'm watching here. If I took a long here in Amazon, and let's say I'm right here, and then JR comes on, and he's like, Geronimo's like, hey, I'm long the Qs here. They have a 15-minute breakout through a pivot, or they have something else. And so instead of just selling, he's like, you know, he goes long, I probably hold my contracts. And that's how I play it. Because I could look at it and be like, well, the stochastics aren't all the way up at the top yet, which they may get up there. It's a strong name. It's trending up off the 200. So I'm going to give this a little bit of room to work. He just entered long. He's a good trader. You know, most of the time he's making money. So because he's doing that, and he's been playing this name all day, I know he has an eye for the Qs. Like if I've been watching him play the Qs all day and call these moves out, and now at this point in the afternoon, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, almost 3 o'clock, and I've heard him call these out all day. And look how this sets up on the Qs, guys. So this is the exact same time. This is key when we're talking about stochastic trades. The Qs and Amazon at that exact same time had the exact same stochastic setup. So this is a 1-minute chart. So look down here. It's below the 20% line, and it's crossing up on this candle in the Qs. Guess what it's doing in Amazon at that exact same time? The exact same thing. So the stochastics are lined up perfectly on both charts. When you look at my 9 charts, which we'll jump back to those. Is this mine? No, that's my 4 time frame. Really quick. So my 9 charts, I have the Qs and I have Amazon. I mean, yeah, you can see them. So I have the Qs and I have Amazon. I can see both of them. So if I'm zooming in during the day, I can see the stochastics on both of them. So I'm always watching those. And usually when I see Google or Amazon and the Qs in an uptrend, like right after it bounces off the 200 or something like that, or near an hourly breakout or whatever it is, and those stochastics are set up below that 20% line on both contracts, I'm like, oh, long crap. And I'll jump over to those and I'll try to take them. That's usually how I trade them. So I can see them all right there. Back to my other chart. So here, let's say I took this, and in here, Geronimo's like, the Qs have I'm long the Qs right now. They're going through this pivot. I'm long the Qs. My next target is, I don't know, 3 something or another. And I'm like, oh, he's long them. I'm already up 3 points in these Amazon. Man, I'm going to sit here and see what happens. And then I just like sit there and I'm like, you know, this is fun. Yo, Geronimo's the man. And then I go in and I spam him. And I, you know, whatever, in the chat. And I say stupid stuff. So that's usually how I play those and how I played those today. And I made more doing this. Like I made a certain amount. I would say I doubled what I made in Tesla doing this. So what I made in Tesla, I made that doing this. And I would just sit there and I would wait for a good setup, and maybe only one of these comes every however often. And then I take it, and Geronimo's talking about the Qs, and he's talking about this is happening and this is happening. I'm waiting for it to get to this level. It's at this part I'm going long. Like, I don't think the Qs, because I don't like the price action on the Qs for the options. I don't like how they move. I could probably practice trading them and learn how to trade them. But if Amazon is mimicking them, I just go trade Amazon. And this move is a 10 plus point move in those contracts. So I just find a contract I like, and I buy a few contracts, and then midway through this move, he says, I'm now long the Qs. I'm like, well, I'm now holding Amazon. So then I hold Amazon, and then I sell whenever I feel like selling. Usually when the stochastic gets up here above this 20% line or something, it slows down. Usually I sell in that range, sometimes sooner. So to point out a stochastic, just for the question of a stochastic trade without me going through my videos, I don't have them perfectly marked. I've got to get better at doing that. I will highlight some in my next video, some live trades and live stochastic trades. I found some ways to highlight them during the day when I'm recording, so I can just stop. And so I know at the end of every time I stop a video and start a new one that there's a trade there I want to cut. I'll do that. Yes, stochastics plus the C strategies are just money. They really are. So that's how I did it. And then what I would have done again if I was looking at Amazon, maybe you missed this move, or maybe, you were waiting and you were holding, or you bought this. Here's another way it could happen too, is maybe that trigger in the Qs was right here. And, you sold, it drops down, and then Geronimo's like, I'm long the Qs, they're going through a trigger. I'm like, okay, well, I'm back in Amazon. And then it goes up, you sell really quick, and pull back down and wait for the next 1 minute. So that's what I did today. That's how I use the stochastics on top of the VTF and what Geronimo does to make money and to find value. And I find the trend. So like I wouldn't have done much in here. It goes above VWAP in the 200. So then in here I'm long, and I kind of just played off of the Qs. I don't remember what the original question was, or how we got there. How did we get to this point? How did I ramble? What was the beginning of this rambling? Oh yeah, Jess was just saying about how, the Geronimo's calls and stuff. Yeah. So because I do that so much, and at 3 o'clock in the day or 1 o'clock in the day, if you've been listening to like me call something out all day, or you've been listening to, JR call something out all day, and like it's working, I don't just randomly jump in once. It's like I've been playing that, or been playing plays in them for most of the day, so I've got that feeling. One of my kids are waking up, so I'm about to go ramble myself upstairs to stick a passy in his mouth. Hopefully he puts himself back down. I'm not sure if he will. They're teething, so I got all of 3 hours of sleep last night. And I don't expect to get much more tonight. It's just joyful times. It's not that bad, though. They're really cute. And they like to give me hugs. So I enjoy that. But, so that's how I use the room and other people's skills to help make me make money. Because if a name's going with it, and then people are calling out levels, I'm not saying you should buy Amazon when he calls out that level. It's if you're already trading it, and if you're already in it, you're like, well, how do you hold for that conviction? It just gets easier to kind of hold it and let it go when you've just been seeing that work. And I'm not getting greedy trying to catch 10 points every time, or 5 points, but it's just, hey, I'm going to catch another point or two here. Okay, I'm going to sell. So it just gives me that little bit of conviction to hold a little bit longer. And I really hate that I didn't trade today, because there was a lot of, or that I didn't record today, because there was a lot of stuff I really loved, and just hated that I couldn't get my stuff working. It will be working for tomorrow. Oh, my kid is like straight screaming, sitting up. I will be right back, guys. Give me literally, it'll take me under a minute, I think. So I will be right back. Bam. Later, no FOMO. Man, I hope that keeps him down. I need a babies are crying, I'll be right back slide to put over the video. Just because of the time, I'm thinking I don't know if I want to go into, well, maybe I will, because I keep coming to the topic, but I know it's going to take me a little bit to get through it. So don't know that I want to go or keep you guys for, you know, a ton of time going through more stuff. It's the magic touch. It's the fingers. Now, my kids are actually pretty calm and decent sleepers, generally, I guess. And I think it's just them. And, like, I just put my hand on them, put the passy in, and then walk out. And we've kind of done that since they were little. Like, we didn't hold them the whole time, and we let them cry it out. Like, you let them cry it out for 10 seconds, and then a minute, and then like 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes. And because we did that, I guess that might be what it is. I'm not an expert in babies, but I can generally get them down fast. It's just a question of if they stay asleep or not. You cry it out after every red trade, and you just let yourself cry it out. You just let yourself cry it out longer each time. So the first time you only let yourself cry it out for a minute, and then the next time you get a red trade, you can cry it out for 2 minutes, and then you just kind of keep going and keep going. That's the way to do it. I have too many red trades to do that, man. I'd be crying it out an hour. I have to jump back in another trade. I think it works one-eyed Willie. Like, I would stand by that as a way to do your kids. Like, if people are talking about sleep and getting your kids to sleep and all this, you know, you hate it. You hate to sit there and listen to him cry, but, you know, like even him right there, like he's been fussing for the past like 3 or 4 minutes, and I let him do it. And then by the time I go up and give him his passy and let him down, like he's kind of like a little fussy. Yeah, they'll be fine. I'm sure, like, yeah, they'll be completely fine. I'm not. They're just making noise. Someone posted on TikTok, and my wife, like, kind of laughed at it. She's on there. I'm not. But she said, what'd she say? Oh, it was a deaf, like it was a deaf person or a person who was deaf. Her parents were deaf. And she was like, oh, well, how did your parents hear you crying? What did they do to come in? She's like, I don't know, but we survived. You know, it's like, no, crying's not going to kill them. So sometimes they just sleep through it, and the babies are okay. They learn to deal. But running up the stairs did make me forget, which must means it wasn't important. But the exact, like, what I was saying, or where we need to, or where I needed to go, or with, I guess that would be going into my mindset and how I kind of, I don't get into that, like how I handle the distractions during the day and stuff, and how that kind of helps my trading. I feel like that's a topic for another video, because I have distractions during the day, and I have other stuff going on. You've got the kids behind me making noise and stuff, so it can be difficult. But I think that's a topic for another day, just because the video has been going on for an hour, and I don't mind hanging out for a little bit longer, but I don't want to spend another hour or 30 minutes kind of going into my mindset towards like how I deal with distractions and how I deal with that kind of stuff, and how I implement that to help me kind of be successful. But I am looking for stuff, by the way, guys, like this here in Amazon. Would have been a nice little 1 minute. Stuff like this, you know, are things that I look for. And then I'm usually listening for other people to kind of see if I'm in the same boat as them. Like if we're all thinking the same thing. You know, if Geronimo's over there and he's thinking like I'm looking for a long right here, like I'm not shorting, like if he says like, oh, I'm not shorting the Qs, and Amazon was down here breaking through the 200, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be shorting Amazon. And you notice that the stochastics are down here, and they're probably down here on the Qs too. This is 131, so I'll show you guys. 131. Look at that. Look where the stochastics are at. So you guys are like, how do I catch Amazon plays? I don't know how to catch Amazon plays. I mean, the stochastics are really money. You can do it again over here. That's in the wrong direction. So that's usually what I'm looking for. And here's a time when it would have been harder. But it's a downtrend, so you shouldn't have been longing this one because it's below VWAP and below the... so you shouldn't have been... I was shorting Amazon here, no matter what the stochastics were doing, because the market and Amazon was overall going down. I didn't really care that they were down here. So you kind of have to realize that too. If you're in a downtrend, it doesn't matter if they're down here. That doesn't mean it's going to pop. It's just a random word of warning. That might have been that con. I wasn't here for that. Right here. I don't remember what I did. I was out doing something. I think I was playing with the kids or something. Yeah. So I had a good day today. Thanks to the VTF, thanks to Tesla. Even though I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, I kind of came in cautious, just waited for something to set up, took some strategies because of the volatility issues in the market and the I'm sorry, I'm exhausted, so if I'm like slow or rambling or y'all watch, like, it's just because I'm worn out, losing my train of thought a lot. So just because of all that going on, I was waiting for a trend and I chose to hold it longer. I chose to take names and take smaller size and just kind of let the moves play out as opposed to scalping the quick ones. And I'm really looking forward to Tesla's earnings being done and the Fed getting done talking, just because I think that's going to make the names trade like they normally trade. I don't generally like holding things longer, but it just happened to be working. And when it happens to work, you just play what's working. And I try not to have a bias towards, oh, I have to trade this or I have to trade that. Like, I'm malleable, I think, when it comes to certain things. And I try to be able to adapt and to play to whatever market is in front of me. And when I adapt quicker, days like today are not making up like the last couple weeks. Because 2 weeks ago, everybody was losing. Everybody was having a hard time. Everybody thought this was the end of their trading. And for some it was. For some it wasn't. Some people are still having a hard time. And not to make light of any of it, but the first 2 weeks of this month, look at... What am I doing here? Is a shift out? The first, not that I have to say it because we all know, but the first... look at all, I'm not going to do Amazon, but I mean, look at Tesla, like in this range. It was all very hard to trade. Look at the Qs, like earlier on, it was very hard to trade. There was a couple days that were good in here, but for the most part, it wasn't. And then we just had a lot of crap, a lot of chop, and then all of a sudden, the last, I would say, 4 or 5 days, trading has just been easy. Easier. Definitely some chance of getting hurt, but the trends have held up. We've gotten follow through. We had no follow through for a week and a half. We finally get follow through for a couple of days. And if you were able to control yourself during those hard times and during those hard days, you're doing okay right now. And now you've probably made your month and made your money. We got some news flow plays that were working. We've got Tesla, Amazon, Google plays that are working. Google was what I found and what that kept me sane and kept my account like green a lot, was trading Google. Oh, that was a trend line. Trading Google, using the stochastics to timing them up with the Qs. It works like a charm, and it's been working like a charm, and I've got some videos to post on that. If nothing's going on Wednesday, well, something's going to happen on Wednesday, so we'll see. We'll see what Wednesday's show is, but I am going to do some live trade reviews of using the stochastics to catch Google. It's been very easy. For me personally, it's not 100%, but it's something I've been able to do with a decent level of consistency. So I've grown and I've adapted, and now I have something that I found that add to my repertoire instead of just wrecking my account and losing all the time. I was steady. I held flat. I really didn't make much in those weeks, and then all of a sudden now it's like boom. In the last week, last 7 days, 5 days, trading days, it's just been skyrocketing, and that's just because of patience. And that's the only thing that I can really recommend is be patient when the market's not good. So when days like this come, you can actually make your days, and who knows what tomorrow is going to be. So when you come into tomorrow, be patient, because patience is what's going to get you there. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be. Don't give back today what you made today. Tomorrow, let the market set up, let something happen, find the move, play the trend, do what you do best. If it's hard and it's choppy, if there's platform issues, if there's other stuff going on, take a break, take a breather, relax, reset, find some smart trades, make smart trades, use C strategies, follow the rules, and get yourself to where you need to be to just maintain a level of good trading and toxicity-free trading. So when the good days come and those good runs come, you can trade them efficiently. And so then when there's like a down move like this in Tesla, so if I was toxic, and I'll talk about this some now, I guess, we got some people on, so y'all aren't running away. If everybody logs off, I'll stop talking. I'll stop soon anyway. But like, if I was toxic and I tried this 1 minute breakdown here, excuse me, and I tried this 1 minute breakdown and I lost money. And let's say I barely made anything here when I thought I should have made money, and I barely made anything here, and then I lost some here, and then I could be getting toxic if I had been toxic all week and all last week. And then I could have traded here and lost. But the fact that I was emotionally clear, even after not getting any sleep, but I was emotionally generally clear because of just how I had been trading in the market, and I didn't blow up, and I just kind of stayed consistent as I could. And then all of a sudden, some moves like this happen, and you start making those. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I adapted. I took lower size tier. Instead of sizing up into the move, I sized down, and I just held for longer. And I held through the whip and the crazy price action, and then I just held it, and I just held it, and I just held it, and then I was like, okay, I'm out. And I was able to adapt to what I thought the market was going to do in that moment, and I could see fairly clearly because I wasn't really mad that up to this point I hadn't made anything. Because I'm pretty sure at this point, I was probably flat, maybe a grand or two up, but I really didn't make anything yet. And I had lost once or twice trying to, catch those quick moves and the chop moves, because it was like, oh, I made 50 cents. Oh, I made 70 cents, and I lost a point, and I lost a point, and I made 30 cents. Man, this isn't right. I'm going to take smaller size. I'm going to try to hold a little bit longer in the next 1 minute breakdown. Buy, and I'm just going to let some, okay, I'm going to sell half, and I'm going to let some run. So being intelligent, like let's say for the next 3 days, let's say tomorrow is really, really bad, and you have a hard time. It would be better to not trade or to be cautious and wait, because Wednesday might be amazing. The Fed might come out and say, yeah, we're not really going to taper. We're going to kind of hold off and see what happens. What would the market do? To the moon in some names? But if you're toxic, are you going to be able to play that like intelligently and smart in a way that's not going to get you wrecked? Just buy and hold, I guess, at that point. But what style of trading is going to keep you the most mentally clean, so you can come in and catch moves, and then find things that work in like Amazon and in other names that will help you identify trends, identify things that are working. Use us in Discord, use the VTF if you're in the VTF, to add those trades and stuff to your repertoire, and identify things that are working in ways to make them work. Or you can complain, and nobody here is complaining. I'm just I know people do, because I've done it. Or you can complain that you just can't figure out a way to make money. I missed it. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. you could be that way, or you could just find something that's working. You could lean on other people to learn. You could kind of take it easy until the type of market you want sets up. I could have not traded all month and just come in these last couple days. Like I could have been trading 1 or 2 contracts all month, waited until we got some moves like today. I'm like, oh, okay. And you can instantly tell when a market is not choppy and not just in a channel, or yeah, and it's actually, breaking out and breaking down. That's fun and easy trading for me. I can trade markets like that all day. I don't do very well in the sideways market, so I just leave them alone and I size down. So just some random end of show thoughts. Kept you guys here longer than normal. I really appreciate you hanging out. If you did hang out this long, leave a like. You can share it, comment if you have any questions. I'd love to take them up. You can always come back on the show next time. We'll have a show Wednesday night. I'll try to do some trade reviews. I've got my software set up. I'm cropping some videos for future videos with some strategies, showing me live trade the strategies and talk through different things that could happen, both winners and losers. So, if you like that stuff, let me know, and I will see you all tomorrow. Get some rest, and I hope I can get some rest tonight. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow.